Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought about starting a business. We're here to make growing your business less complicated. There are building blocks to build a sustainable business. We promise to seek them out and address them all. The Better Your Business Show starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the Better Your Business Show. Here we discuss your most important business challenges and provide you with practical solutions to help you better your business.
Absolutely. If you are an entrepreneur, mamapreneur, papapreneur, solopreneur, or any kind of preneur, then you are a go-getter. You have goals to achieve, which you may not have, are experts that can help walk you step by step to make sure that you realize your goals.
One of the things we all realized when we started our businesses as entrepreneurs, and what you are probably realizing today, is you didn't get an instruction manual. You know, we find ourselves in this maze of trying to build a sustainable business, and we really don't know what direction to go in that business. So we want to make sure that by bringing this show to you, we're giving you the action steps to guide you out of that maze so you can achieve the dreams that you set out to achieve when you first started your business.
Yes. So whether you are joining us live or watching the replay, make sure you take your free business assessment at pillar5.com and join us live in our virtual studio where we can address your concerns and comments throughout the show. So we are going to jump right into this week's topic. I'm very excited. We're going to be interviewing the founders of iDue Systems and the hosts of the BBB, right? The creators of the BBB, the mastermind behind iDue Systems, Pillar 5, the systems and structures that are being put in business today for entrepreneurs. And so Carlton and Tehran, good morning. We are happy to have you here and to really dive into Pillar 5, which I'm really, really excited about. I know that when we first met and were introduced to each other and we're talking about Pillar 5, I was just blown away by how ahead of our time you both were, the vision, the patience, the discipline that went into creating the software and what you're doing for entrepreneurs. So Carlton, if you want to get us started, I'd love to hear just, how this all started. I know you and Tehran have been friends for over 2 decades now, being in business together. So how did this all start with you guys? Was it some big mastermind, or how did this get started?
Well, like everyone else, it starts with a problem. When you run into the wall, you start trying to figure out how to move that wall or how to get around that wall. And that's where it all began. We ran into a problem. And for clarity, I know you said the BBB, which is Better Business Bureau. We are the Better Your Business Show. So BYB would be accurate. So no one doesn't think, well, did they create the Better Business Bureau? What? I didn't know that. Yeah. No, we didn't.
We're all in trouble now.
But back in 2014 or so, Tehran and I were providing consulting services for a financial company who was focused on and specializing in helping business owners build credit. And then once they would build their credit, then they were a business credit. Let me be very specific. Build their business credit and then get funding. And we just thought that was a noble action as ever to be a part of as entrepreneurs. Well, let's help business owners get funding. What we learned over that process is that even though they were getting funding and they had good business scores or, done scores or, whatever you want to call, they were still having complications, and many of them still were going out of business and still failing and still unable to pay back their loans. And so Tehran and I decided we need to find a solution to this. And so Pillar 5 was born in that need to solve the problem of business owners were getting funding, but they were still failing. Mark Cuban has the saying, sales cures all. And I think there's a misunderstanding with business owners thinking that money cures all. Sales cures all. That's two different things. Sales may produce money, but it's different than money. So anyway, that's how we really got started in developing Pillar 5, what is now known as Pillar 5, should I say.
Okay, awesome. And then Carlton, I know for you, your family, you come from a family of entrepreneurs as well, right?
Yes.
So was that, stuff that you had experienced? And so that's, in your family line too, that also made you aware of these, trends or?
Well, that's a good question. What really, my family was predominantly in real estate and small business shops. They had the bodegas in New Jersey or the little delis and, all these different, kind of like the mindset today of hustling, right? Where there's all these different things. They're doing newspaper routes. They got ice cream stand. They got a mall outlet. They got a deli. They're doing all these things. And with my family coming from, Jamaica, all of my family come from Jamaica. I was happened to be born here in the U.S. As their businesses grew, or as I was getting older, watching them build business and taking part in assisting in any little small pieces that I could, whether it was go run cable on Saturday morning with my dad, or, go deliver newspapers, or work the store on a Friday after school, or whatever that was. As I was getting older, I noticed that when their businesses had issues, it would cause issues through the family. And, sometimes you couldn't hang out with your cousin this week because mom and dad were beefing with your uncle, or whatever that was. And that used to negatively impact me. That used to hit me in my heart. So when I got involved with this organization and helping people get funding, and I saw these businesses destined for failure, I just can imagine if they have children, they're going to feel what I felt. They're going to feel that impact. And I wanted to avoid that because I love babies. So I want to avoid that by all costs. They shouldn't have to feel the wrath of a failure in business, which always says, you don't have to fail to succeed, even though many people believe that. But I wanted to solve that. And without going too far down the line, Tehran and I started researching and realized that 76% of businesses fail by year 10. And that was just one number we stopped at. That was the problem we saw. And we needed a solution for that problem before we can talk about anything else. So we wanted to solve that problem.
Okay. So Tehran, I know, so you guys have known each other since you were, probably you said you were 8, I think, years old when you guys met, right? So if I could go back on some of those stories, I bet there's some good ones, right? But so what happens? Carlton just calls you up one day and he's like, Tehran, we're going to create this software. And, how did this all start? Is your background in that, Tehran? Or, are you just like, creating a software, my guess is you have to be pretty detailed, intelligent, patient,
Right. Yeah. Well, my background is in sales, actually. So I was in Tampa, Florida, and I was doing all kind of sales campaigns, training for sales campaigns, and building out call centers. And when Carlton called me about the funding company, they needed to build out a sales team. So that kind of is what got us going down that route. I was like, okay. And we pretty much started doing that pretty successfully. I think it was like 130 some odd people we ended up getting on within a few months. I forget the exact number. So it's really just from providing that consulting service to that entire company and building out their sales force. So that's really what got us in. It wasn't the desire to start a software. It was just being solution driven. So then when we saw the problems that were coming, and that the company that we were dealing with, they didn't have it in their radar to even address that. To them, that was not a problem. That wasn't part of their mission statement. Their mission statement was to get people funded. And if that took place, then their job was done, so to speak. And again, like Carlton said, that just didn't work well with us. So I guess we both have the characteristics of being overachievers and want to do a little bit more than was necessary. So it just made sense in our head to just create this entire solution from the ground, where we don't have to ask anyone for their approval. We're not really good at that at that part.
Well, I love you both.
So we just started, opening up the box, saying, okay, well, what is it going to take for us to develop this solution? And then this is where these resources started presenting themselves. Well, you'll need this, you'll need this, you'll need that. It wasn't a matter of whether we could do it or not. It's just what resources were needed. And then we just started putting the machine together. And it was like, well, the best way to solve this thing is through software. So let's go ahead and do it. Only thing you can't do is what you won't do. So we just decided to go ahead and do it.
So how did this happen? Did Carlton just call you up one day and was like, hey, we're going to create this software? Did you put a desk out with like a, the flyer, iDue systems, kind of like the Amazon picture we all see, and you guys were just grinding it out for weeks? Or how did this all work? Were you just like, Carlton, you're crazy, call me in a couple of days when you chill out a little bit with this vision? Or how did this all
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Again, it's the same way when we ran into that speed bump with the building out the sales department, we had already built the relationships with the development team and all of the back end infrastructure, if you will, components to create a software company. We just weren't dealing with them in that respect. So we already had the relationships with everybody. But the what we were introducing or trying to suggest for the company to do was not in the company's mission statement or trajectory. So now we're kind of like these sore thumbs. So again, we just said, oh, well, let's just present this idea or solution to those who share the same mission. And I mean, the resources were there. We just started putting one foot in front of the other. Put your right foot in front of your left foot. Never let your left foot fall behind. Just keep it moving.
I love it. I love, what I love? There's a couple of things that I really love about it too. One of them is that you guys cared enough, right? Because really you could have just done your job there and let it go. And that tends to be, I think, a lot of industries in general. Obviously, I'm in financial services. I see that all day long. It's just, hey, we'll put a little Band-Aid on this and then we're on to the next thing. But I love that you guys were like, let's follow through and really create that sustainability. And you guys built this company with no money, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I know most people think, and that's even part of the pillars of the 5-pillar software, is talking about funding and stuff like that, right? So how did you guys do that? Where did you start? Did you just go down this rabbit hole on Google, or how did you financially support your business?
As we started developing out Pillar 5, and in fact, it wasn't called Pillar 5 when we started. It was called My Now Score. And I see Natalie and Colette here. Good morning, everyone joining us.
Good morning.
Colette was one of the first people, and a quick backstory on that. Tehran and I had decided we were going to build this software. So we began in an Excel spreadsheet, and we just created out the 12 key questions that can help us identify what things the business owners were neglecting. So it started with 12. It's 115 now and constantly growing. But it started with 12, and we built this out, and it was in an Excel spreadsheet, literally an Excel spreadsheet. We had no programmers. He nor I understands how to any of the languages. We don't code. We don't do any of that, right? All we did was borrow from my Excel background to create an Excel spreadsheet. And we went out and started talking to business coaches and business owners and starting to find out, kind of like what you do in the pillars is there a market for what you have, or are you just wasting your time? So we actually started following that path, determining if there was a market. And real quick story is I went to a 1 million cup out in Fort Worth, Texas, and I started asking the question about life cycle stages to people in the audience in the networking event. And no one understood what I was really talking about when we were talking about life cycle stages. And then Colette just walks right up to me. Colette Portis from Red Development Today just walks up to me, and she completely understands what I'm talking about. So she ends up pulling me away from that crowd, and we had our own conversation. Needless to say, she is one of our biggest supporters of our software today, which is now Pillar 5. But how did we start with no money? The way we started with no money was that we started reaching out to people who we knew had expertise in the areas that we didn't, and who believed in the mission that we had. And we understood if that they believed in what we believed in, that we would support each other in that way. And it didn't require money. We could barter, we can exchange. You need help with something, I'll help you with it. You help me with this. And that whole relationship ended up landing us with an organization called Teplar out in India. And their CEO and founder at Teplar, which is a programming company, a program development company that has, umpteen amount of programmers, he completely believed in what we were talking about. So he said, I'll partner with you guys and I'll do all the development. Little thing that happened just recently, just the other day, is I asked him, I said, if you were billing out the amount of hours that you've put into Pillar 5, because you have to keep in mind, we started this back in 2016, the programming side of it. And here we are in 2021 and we're still programming. So that's 5 years of programming, if you can even imagine. And I think the numbers were close to somewhere around $2 million worth of programming that they've put in. And many people, like you said, Natalie, would say, oh, I have to have that type of money to get started. No, you have to have the commitment, the passion, the drive, and then utilize the people around you who have the same mission, passion, and drive. And then you can support one another. And that's what we did. We used the support of people around us, and many people that are around us today, we did not know prior to coming up with Pillar 5. In fact, 100% of the people on our team, we did not know before we met them and got into Pillar 5, including yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that just shows what clarity of vision can do, right? When you're passionate about what you're doing, it's the right people will show up, right? They get kind of caught. There's that saying, light yourself on fire and the right people will show up, right? And so I love that. It's like you guys went out, shared this vision, the right people showed up. I mean, it's what enrolled me into being here with you guys, because what I love about Pillar 5, and we'll dive deeper into the 5 pillars and what they are, but it's been about the forward thinking of where we're at with entrepreneurship, and then what you're providing. Even with Paulette, she validates that, right? When she says, I love Pillar 5, to me, that just validates it, because really, if I look at you guys reverse engineered entrepreneurship, right? Where if you look at most entrepreneurs, we're trying to figure it out, or we're seeing what sticks. We got our head down, we're 20, 30 years in, and then it's like, okay, well, what's next? And Pillar 5 takes care of that for people, right? You guys have already been to the destination, you reverse engineer, you teach people how to get the way. It's like navigation in your business, right? So so let's talk about that 5 stages. Why is it Pillar 5? I know you talked about the 5 stages of business. What are those 5 stages? What should we be looking for? What does the assessment entail?
Right. Well, the 5 stages, there's two parts to that. And the first is the 5 stages. So every business has 5 life cycle stages, something that we came to find out. And it was all theoretical, so we put together something that made actual sense, that could be quantified, could be measured, and could be grown, that you can grow through. So there's 5 stages that every business goes through. And it was the seed stage, startup, growth, expansion, and maturity. And what we noticed when dealing with even a lot of, I don't want to say mature businesses, people who have been in business for a long time, let me say it that way. None of them knew what life cycle stage they were in. None of them cared what life cycle stage they were in. And as we started studying that and the death rates of businesses, we started realizing, okay, this is why. This is exactly why. This is the issue no one is addressing. So it was the blue ocean as far as we were concerned. This was a place where we know there's fish there, but there's no red water, no sharks to feed it, nobody's eating over there. Let's go solve this problem. So such a large amount of people failing in businesses every year, according to the U.S. labor statistics, 20% end by year 2, 50% end by year 5, 76% end by year 10, and 400,000 start every year since the 90s. So it was really much a no-brainer once we looked at the data. So the data gave us the information that said, yeah, this is the green light. This is definitely a solution that's needed by too many people that are actually active in entrepreneurship. So we just wanted to lay out how a person can go through those stages. Something that we used to always say, we still say, is you don't give an adult children's Tylenol or whatever, those Frankenstones things. You don't give a baby Bengay. There's certain things you administer at a certain time. The same thing goes for business. So it really made it simple for people to understand the reason for having a tool like that can identify a life cycle stage in order for them to get the necessary guidance or assistance. And then that leaned over into the 5 pillars of sustainability, which are in the software. And Carlton, you can go ahead and explain that a little bit, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Can I ask one question on that real fast? So because I think it will lead into that, Carlton, what was the experience for you guys, or maybe even just you, Tehran, that made you realize people don't really care? Like, where does that stem from? Is it just because we don't know any better? We just think we've made it this long, we're going to survive, or...
There are a lot of variables to that one, I think. Your reference points, which you see as success being subjective and sustainability being objective, was one of the main things right then and there. If a person is hustling, quote, so to speak, or they're doing what they have to do to pay the bills and, survive on a daily basis, they aren't really looking for a sustainable way to do that. As you know, and this is coming from that left side of the quadrant perspective. Most people are trained to get a good education, go get a good job, pay your bills. If you can pay your bills a month or two out in advance, you're better than good. And then that becomes the cap. And then we just started looking at the 14% that do survive past 10, or Fortune 500 companies, better said, and what made them different. And was there schooling that they got? Was there was there something different about them? And it was like, no, there wasn't. They were just applying certain principles. So when we looked at those principles and said, well, if everyone applies those principles, and everybody can be on the road to sustainability, and that kind of green lighted us to go forward. In that route, we realized people weren't as concerned with becoming sustainable. They were concerned with keeping up with the Joneses, just paying the regular bills. There's a different mentality out there other than the way the typical business development coach would think when it comes to generating money, acquiring wealth, or even trading your time for money, getting a job. And so it was basically a lot of the aforementioned programming that's already in society is why people really don't seem to care about it. As long as I start making money, I'm fine. We never think about ourselves blowing out our knees. And in the NBA, we put our whole thing in NBA and we blow out our knees. Like, well, we just don't think that far in advance. So it seemed like a good hole for us to fix, plug in with actionable info.
Awesome.
That's why. Why do you think people don't, Carlton? Why don't you think people care?
I don't think it's a matter of that people don't care. I think everyone has this elaborate vision, elaborate dream when they say, I want to start a business. Whether they're reading a book and they're coming to that epiphany, or they're talking to a coach, or they're watching TV and they see Count of Monte Cristo, and they go, "Ooh, I want to be that guy. I want to go from rags to riches really fast." Everyone has this vision and this dream. And we say this at the beginning of the show, when they get started, they don't know how to go capture it. So Tehran says this about the psychology of people. If people don't know, they start filling in what they don't know with what they think they know, and that becomes their truth. So they just kind of fill in the void rather than going, I don't know. They'll fill it in with something. And with business, that could be detrimental to your business, because you're filling it in with information that you haven't verified and proven will actually get you where you're going. So what I hear all the time when I'm talking to business owner is, I have a business. And I go, okay, who's your audience? What's your price range? What's your plan? And typically that is, I don't know the answer to that. What they have is, I registered a business. They say, I have an EIN, I have a bank account, and I have a name, and I register it. So I have a business. And so I think that mentality is, they reach out, and there's information and insight everywhere, especially with technology the way that it is today, right? And like Keisha's saying, you don't know what you don't know. So, but many business owners do the assumption component. And so they go, well, I saw somebody else build a marketing company and they didn't need all that. They just did this, this, and this, because they're trying to hurry up and get to the dream. They're trying to hurry up and get to the goal. And many times I think they start without knowing the why. Like, why are they doing it? Is there a purpose behind it? Is there a passion to it? Or is this typically money driven? Is it only money driven? So that mindset is different. If you have one that is solely money driven, which I call that hustle mentality, it's how do I get paid between now and Friday, versus how do I build a sustainable business that will be here for 300 years? There's a different mindset when you walk into that arena with those two individuals. And so I don't think it's a matter of not caring. I think it's, from our side, it's understanding what their goal is. And many times their goal is money, or their goal is purpose. I can tell you, for iDue Systems, money will be a byproduct of what we do. Our goal is to reduce that death rate from 76%. If we can bring it down to 5%, amazing. That would impact our economy on so many levels, because you would have more businesses generating $250,000 a year, which 84.3% of businesses generate less than that. We can get that number higher and they will survive. So it builds an economy, a capitalistic economy, which we're in. It supports it by providing more successes and less failures. I'm not saying businesses shouldn't fail. I'm not saying everyone should be an entrepreneur and everyone should have a business. I'm just saying if you're going to do it the right way. You know, if you're gonna take a trip from Texas to California, don't just jump in your car and start driving. And someone says, "Where are you going?" You go, "I'm going to California." And they go, "What road you going to take?" And you go, "I don't know. I'll figure it out while I'm driving." And you don't have a map or a GPS, then you're just going for a long drive, you know. And hopefully you have enough fuel and money to get you there. Because if you run out of money or fuel before you get there, then that's what most people call a failure. You're stuck. You stopped. You get a roadblock, right? Because you didn't map out the logistics of this journey. So again, back to that answer, I don't think it's that people don't care. I just think that their posture different. And there are going to be some people who claim to be entrepreneurs, and they're really not. There's a difference between running a business and working in your business. There's a difference between business owner and self-employed. Many are self-employed and saying, "I'm an entrepreneur." Self-employed to me is not an entrepreneur. You work for yourself.
Yes. You know what I love about that too? It's funny because I had a friend of mine, she posted on social media last night. She's like, "My dad told me to reach in the glove box." It was like a meme joke thing that she was posting, but I think about this looking at the software. She said, "My dad told me to reach in the glove box and get out the map," because they were going on a trip. And she was like, "Settle down, Indiana Jones. Let me just Google it on my phone." Right. but it's kind of the same thing. It's, you know, are we still doing things the old way? Because we're evolving, we're getting better, we're harnessing technology more. Now we have software such as Pillar 5 that's saying, "Hey, this is exactly what you need to do to get there. This is where you're at. This is where you need to go to get to your destination," right? You just got to plug in your coordinates and go, right? Versus, "Hey, I'm going to figure out, hey, I hope something sticks." You know, I think about 75, 76%, that's a high statistic. And so it just makes me wonder, is it people that really, they don't expect that their business is going to be sustainable? It's like, "Hey, we're making money. Let's rock and roll with this. It's kind of tends to be working. Let's keep going." Or, you know, why is it such a high number?
You know, that is the magic question that everyone has asked me, from scholars to professors to economists, like, why? What is the why? And here's my answer. And it's very subjective, but it's my opinion after all of the data that I looked at and all the research we've done, you know, over the last 6 years, which is over 18,000 hours just for me alone, regardless of my team. That's been as big as 12. I think I think Keisha hit it right on the head. You don't know what you don't know. And I think many business owners take off down the road trying to get to California without a direction. And so they hear there are roads, they hear there are gas stations, they hear, you know, there's places that they can get directions to go where they're going, but they're kind of winging it. And I think they don't realize the implication, the difficulty of building a business. Building a business is not easy. No way, shape, form, or fashion is it easy. If you're looking for a quick paycheck, or you think you're going to make way more money than your boss makes, just think about that for a moment, right? Just think about the amount of people on your boss's team that you work for before you think about running your own business and thinking you can do all of those jobs independently by yourself. That is a crazy, you almost have to be a mad person to want to be an entrepreneur. Right? Just crazy about providing a solution. But I think the number is impacted by business owners who just don't know the direction. And you mentioned technology and you mentioned all of these things and reaching in the glove box and grabbing the old paper map. If business owners reached in the glove box and had a paper map to grab, it would be better than not having a map at all. You know, having the GPS is a great, you know, having a GPS is an awesome thing because it's just at your fingertips, which is Pillar 5, at your fingertips. But before Pillar 5, this is the question. The death rate has been around since 1990. And we've had all these experts and all these authorities, if you will, that are running around teaching people business programs and how to do this and how to do that. The question is, and I don't know how much that has impacted the numbers, but the death rate number has not changed. So for the last 30 years, whatever has been in the market, whatever has been available to entrepreneurs has not caused a difference in the death rate. Has not. So to me, I'm not saying that everything that they're doing isn't working. They may be catching the other 24% and helping them, which is why they just need more of them to help the other 76%. But I think because business owners don't have a clear path from the moment they say go, that is the main reason why their business dies. I'm going to call it like the SBA calls it. The SBA, Small Business Administration, classifies that as a death because that business is a separate entity. It's an individual and has its own life. And so it dies. And that's that death, I believe. It comes from not knowing how to raise that baby, if you will. If you don't raise it right, then you're going to lose it. And I think if they know how to raise it, they wouldn't lose it. And I think if they knew there was a way to raise it the right way, they would tend to it that way. I don't think anyone would. Tehran and I had this analogy over the weekend, or we were talking through this maze. We look at business owners as if you're in a maze. Just think of a very big labyrinth where you're stuck in this maze and you don't know your way out. And along this maze, you run into Tehran. And Tehran says, you're in this maze. Here's the directions to get out of the maze. Follow these steps. No matter where you are in the maze, you run into Tehran. You can be top left, bottom right, wherever you are. And he hands you this instructions on how to get out of the maze. The question that a business owner has to ask themselves is, do I take Tehran's information and go try to get out of the maze, or do I continue going about it my own way?
Right.
That's the question that a business owner has to ask. If you know there's something that can guide you through the process, do you take it?
Right. Right.
Well, that just makes me think of being coachable and teachable, right? And then why wouldn't you want to follow someone that's already been there, right? If I'm going across even a mine shaft, of course, I want to follow someone who's already been across it, not try to figure it out on my own. But I love what Colette put, what she said, many think the presence of revenue is the indicator of sustainability. And that I just think is so powerful because it's so true. Even thinking about myself and my own business, you know, it's like, well, you could drop me anywhere. And I'm sure you both think the same way too. You could drop us anywhere. We're going to go make money. We're going to build a business, right? We're not going to work for anybody else. But that doesn't mean we can sustain in business long term. So with that, we're going to go into a quick break. We have the founders of iDue Systems and Pillar 5 here this morning, Tehran Glover, Carlton Hoskins. Quick break, and we'll be right back. See you soon.
A wise man once asked, what if starting a business was like jumping out of a plane? And like 76% of businesses, what if 76% of parachutes failed before you reached the destination? What about those of you who have already jumped? Well, you may still have time to check your business. Pillar5.com, where businesses get it right.
Indeed.
All right, we are back. Carlton Hoskins, Tehran Glover, founder of iDue Systems and Pillar 5 Software. We are talking about how to be sustainable in business as entrepreneurs today. And Pillar 5, what are the 5 pillars of business? How do we know where we're at in our stages? And how do we get to the next stage? So welcome back. Let's get into the software a little bit. I'm excited to hear about the stages. How do I see where I'm at in business?
Awesome.
How do I take the assessment?
Awesome. Well, let me jump in and answer some of that. Right now, anyone can go to pillar5.com and they can take an assessment absolutely free. The goal and the objective of this program is to help business owners achieve sustainability and stop failing. So that's the underlining goal. So we want as many people to run over there and do as many assessments as they possibly can so they can figure out the life cycle stage. As Tehran was pointing to previously, life cycle stages have always been theoretical. And when people talked about them, it really didn't have much weight. It was I was in a seed stage because I knew I was beginning, or I'm in the startup stage because I'm getting ready to get my EIN and my company registered. So I'm the startup guy. I want to expand. So now that puts me in the expansion stage. I'm growing. I'm in the growth stage. I've been around for 10 years. I'm mature. I'm in the maturity stage. And so these were all subjective identifiers for business owners to understand where they were in the journey of building a business model. But many business owners didn't take time to learn what life cycle stages actually meant, where they came from, what was the development issue around them. And so, like Tehran mentioned, we went back and re-engineered them. And so now you have to go through every step in order to get where you're going. There are many life cycle stage models out there. Many people say there's 7 life cycle stages, 4 life cycle stages, 8 life cycle stages, but they're all theory. So the one that we have inside of Pillar 5 is very objective, and it is practical, and it'll guide you. You can't, a 4-year-old is not going to walk into kindergarten and say, I want to major in quantum physics my second year of high school, because that's probably not logical to them, right? And they're not going to go from 4th grade to college. So you can't just randomly wake up one day and decide, okay, I'm going to be in college today. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to be in 9th grade. Okay, the next day I'm going to be in 12th grade. No, I'm going to go back to 4th grade. And that's that jump. There's an education that has to happen. There's a learning of entrepreneurship. There's a becoming, if you will. There's a becoming of an entrepreneur that requires mindset changes. Sharon Lecter and Robert Kiyosaki talk about that. Getting the mindset from the left side of the quadrant to the right side of the quadrant. But then when you go through that, then we look at the pillars, and you asked, why did you call it pillar? Why did we call it Pillar 5? Well, we call it Pillar 5 because there's 5 pillars in the sustainability of a business. So just think about a house for a moment and all your supporting walls. If you're remodeling, the engineer or the contractor is going to tell you, you can knock down some walls, but there's some walls you just cannot knock down because they're supporting walls. And if you knock them down, your whole house is going to fall down, right? It's not going to be able to carry the weight. Well, same thing in Pillar 5, there's 5 pillars. They are infrastructure, which is really the legal structure of the business. Many people refer to that as the LLC component, the EIN component. How are you registered? How do you appear into the public? Also, the why behind your business is also part of that infrastructure. Your purpose is inside of the infrastructure. And then there's management. Obviously, you got to be able to manage your company, marketing, finance, credit, and then credit breaks out into 2 pieces, which is both personal and business, because both of those are needed when you're starting your business or growing your business, if you will. They have an impact on all kind of sides and levels. So those are the 5 pillars. And Pillar 5, every one of those pillars, let me back up for a second. Every one of those pillars has a list of items that need to be done, tasks, what we call roadblocks, because this is what we realized over time, that they are roadblocks to many people. If I was to say to a business owner, present your SWOT analysis, many business owners today that are less than 2 years old, generating less than $250,000, will probably look at us cross-eyed. A SWOT analysis, what is that? Why do I need that? Where's your board of advisors? I don't need a board of advisors. I'm a landscaping company. I cut all the grass. I don't need anyone's help. What are they advising me in? And so they're focused on working in the business, so that you see how that mindset's different. Where if they started stepping out of the business, and our favorite analogy is always the coffee shop, Natalie, where we talk about the mom and pop coffee shop. And then I say, who serves you at the mom and pop coffee shop? Either the mom, the pop, or someone in their immediate family. When you walk across the street to Starbucks, where the line is wrapped around 2 blocks long, you will not find the person who started Starbucks standing in that store, serving you, taking your money, advertising, marketing. You won't even see them on a commercial, to be honest with you, right? You won't see them anywhere. The mindsets are different, and they're building different. One is working in their business, and the other one is working on their business. And so identifying the 5 pillars and going through all of those steps allows a person to work on their business rather than in their business.
Does there seem to be a certain pillar that most entrepreneurs get stuck on?
Marketing. They love marketing. Everyone thinks, I just need to go get a sale and I'll make money. I just need to go get a sale. That's it. And very specific, they get stuck in the marketing pillar, but there's a specific building block that they really stick to. And that is, how do I make money? Again, Tehran was talking about it earlier. Everyone goes into business and they go, okay, well, now how do I make the most money possible? How do I get more sales? How do I get to attract? How do I get to that $1 billion? How do I get to that $1 million? How do I get to that new car, that new house? Mark Cuban just bought a new house. I'm a business owner. I want to buy a new house too. And it's, Tehran called it keeping up with the Joneses, right? So they have this Jones look when they're looking at their business. Whereas if they're building according to the pillars are going to tell them what thing they need to do at what stage of the business based on the life cycle stage. Something that many people do, Natalie, when they talk with us, is they do a life cycle assessment and they come back and they go, I've been in business for 12 years. My business generates a little over $11 million a year. How am I in the seed stage? How is that even possible that I could be in the seed stage? And the answer to that is revenue and age of business does not determine the life cycle stage. What determines the life cycle stage is completing the steps for every stage. If they're completing each step through every stage, that's sustainability. Making sure that you haven't missed anything. If you're missing things, you may be generating this money. It may appear that you're on the expansion stage, but the moment something like COVID hits, or, there's a shift in the market, you'll identify those businesses very quickly, because those will be the businesses that shut down first, because there's no sustainability. They just have success. And so sustainability trumps success always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to chime in on that, something that we actually learned, or something that I was exposed to when we were dealing with the funding company, was it became real simple. It became real simple to understand. If you do certain things, you're going to become fundable from a bank's perspective. There's just certain steps to take to get a certain result. People just didn't know what those steps were. And it was the same thing with building a business. That was just one pillar, the finance or the credit pillar. So we looked at these other pillars that were missing from that same equation and added them in, and realized that, well, wow, if money is the goal, money comes from the fact that you have a sustainable business, not from the fact that you took an opportunity to generate a sale or get a client. It's to create a machine that's going to get clients, maintain clients for a long time by itself without you manually doing something. That automatically equates to generating revenue. So it just kind of helped us take our focus off of getting an immediate response, if you will, to something longer, something more sustainable. And it tied back into the books that we were reading, and just the mentality of building something that you can pass on, something that's going to work without you working it, versus something immediate, back to keeping up with the Joneses and understanding your why and what am I doing this for in the first place. And these just became the differentiators that help Pillar 5 become what it is and what it's becoming.
Yeah, I love that. And it makes me think, how do I want to put all this time, effort, sweat equity into building a business, making 11 million a year or whatever, how Carlton you're talking about, and then to have something like this happen, have it taken away from me just like that, right? And again, I think that you guys hit it on the nail, which is we're not stopping and thinking about that, or the belief system isn't there that we can really have a long-term sustainable business, right? And so we're not doing that groundwork up front. But it's like, man, do we ever sit there and imagine I've done all this work and then just like that tomorrow, that 11 million could be wiped away from me, right? Just like that. And so that's just really amazing. But it also makes me think about learning from, not having to try to figure it all out on our own, right? We have this software that will teach us in advance what we need to do. We don't have to fail forward. There's the big, when I was an entrepreneur, it's like fail forward, figure it out. We don't have to do that anymore. We've evolved and got better. And it was funny. I heard, like when I was talking to you, Tehran, I was like, the hustle and grind. He's like, no, you still got to grind it out. You still got to get to work. But at least this tells you where you need to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Interesting. There was, I have a friend of mine who actually does real estate in New Jersey. And for years, he was anti-coaching. It wouldn't make sense of it. It's like, I'm not going to pay money for somebody to tell me what I need to do until he was exposed to coaching. And then the light bulb went off. It's like, oh, okay, I'm not paying people to tell me what I already know. I'm paying for what I don't know. And I don't know what I don't know. I only know what I know, and I double down on that. That's what most people do. And so just being exposed to having an objective coach that can show you and help you get where you're trying to go. I think that the majority of people don't understand that actually is out there, that everybody is figuring it out. And it's like, no, there are blueprints written for just about everything that's out there. If you just look for experts to help you, then it changes the whole trajectory and how long it'll take and how arduous it'll be or not.
Natalie,
I was just going to say, I know that when I first met you, the two of you, and went to Pillar 5 and did my own assessment, something that really came from that for me was it helped expand my vision, because it helped me feel like I had the roadmap to tell me where I want to go. Before it was like, okay, you could see the big picture. Let's just say I could see the big picture or know but there's a difference between, hey, I could see that, the castle on the hill 10 years from now versus I can see the road that I'm driving up to get to the castle. There's a big difference. And so it got me excited. It's like, wow, I'm on the road, right? I'm there, I'm on my way. And so it really, that's what I loved. It expanded my vision. It got me excited for the next level, because it's like, hey, now I know what I need to do to get to where I want to get to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Many people take the assessment at Pillar 5, which is a really simple assessment. Just go to pillar5.com, log in. We don't need anything from you. Just create a small account, no money up front, nothing at all. We'll ask you 11. The system will ask you 11 questions. We'll identify your life cycle stage, and then it'll tell you what action step you need to take next, and you'll get a free report. So if you're not doing it, then I'm sad to say you probably don't care about your business being sustainable. If you care about a sustainable business and you want to grow that, then go to Pillar 5 and get your assessment. There's no other assessment out in the market that does that. So you won't find that anywhere else. That is our superpower. We can identify the life cycle stage. But Natalie, to your point, I've heard coaches call Pillar 5 the heavy, and I go, what? Why do you call Pillar 5 the heavy? And they go, because it's going to give the business owner the truth. And as a coach, I don't have to tell them that truth. That truth comes from a system. Now I can guide them from that information, which is that same smile you have on your face today, because when you did it, the first response was, oh, beep, beep, beep. What is this? What the beep, beep, beep? And I've heard that 1,000 times, exclamation points, asterisk, star, what is this thing? It's broken. It doesn't work. There's no way. And they have that emotional impact because they care about their business. But then they come to the realization that, wait a minute, I wasn't on the track. I was kind of veering off into roads thinking I was going north, and I really was going east. Now I'm on a road. And I know exactly how I'm going to get there. And then that level of inspiration and confidence comes back. And then they go, Carl, I know exactly what I got to do next. And then they're just riding. And every time they do the next step, I get a phone call. Carl, I'm on my next step. I'm about to go get my board of advisor. I already got 4 of them. We got a meeting. And they're all super excited. And it's a great feeling to have, to know that even just one business owner has listened to what we've said, and they're following this roadmap and trajectory to their sustainability. That's why we did this. We didn't do it for the money. We didn't set a number. We didn't say, oh, we're going to make X, Y, Z. Let's go build this thing. We did it because we wanted to solve the problem. And Pillar 5 is doing it. And we're super proud to be a part of it. We're glad we have our team. We have an amazing team behind us.
Can't wait to have them on the show.
We even got team members on our show with us. Check us out. We got, we're just here to help. At the end of the day, Tehran and I always say, if it's not about helping the business owners build sustainability, why are we here? Why are we even doing it? So it's not about money for us. It's about helping, which is why we do the free assessments for business owners, so that they can get on track. The worst thing you could be doing is standing in the mall with a 4-year-old who needs to use the restroom, who does not have on diapers, and they're trying to find a restroom, and you don't know where the restroom is. More or less, you don't even know where you are in the mall. So you can't even ask for a direction. And we solve that with Pillar 5.
Right.
Well, and Pillar 5 helps collapse time frames for entrepreneurs too.
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Giving that course correction. You're not, again, you're not wasting time trying to figure it out, right? It's like, this is what you do. Right now, it's just us applying it, and that the awareness of where we are, and then just making that change.
Yeah. And I also want to add that so business owners and coaches alike understand that this product was designed for them. It was specifically designed for them. It was designed for the business owners to know where they are and to know what steps they need to take. And it was designed for business coaches so that they can help guide their clients, because not all business coaches don't know every step in the process. There are many steps in the process. More importantly, Pillar 5 is not the end all be all. It is not the know it all. It provides the clear view. Just let's go back to a GPS. I like to compare Pillar 5 to the GPS for your business. It's a clear view. If Tehran and I decided we were going to drive out to visit Natalie in California, it would tell us the road we need to take. It wouldn't tell us when to stop and get gas. It wouldn't tell us when to stop and eat. It wouldn't tell us any of that, right? Somewhere along that way, we need to make that determination. What does that? Well, the fuel, the fuel gauge in the car is telling us when to stop. The GPS isn't telling us when to stop. The fuel gauge in the car is telling us when to stop. So there's something else working. And for us, that is where the guidance components come in. Pillar 5 provides the high-level tasks that must be completed to get through sustainability so you can grow through the next life cycle stages. Period. End of story. The supporting coaches and the resources and the guidance and the content that supports the action is what helps the business owners actually do the work. So in Pillar 5, for example, they'll get a question like, have you completed your one-page business plan? Some business owners will go, no, I don't have a one-page business plan, but I got a 30-page business plan. That's not what it asked you. It said one page. And then they go, okay, great. But how do I do a one-page business plan? In Pillar 5, the resources that's coming from experts, or if you don't want to use those resources, you can go talk to your own expert, or you can go to YouTube, or you can go to LeanStack, or you can go to Google, and you can say, how do I do a one-page business plan? The objective is that's the thing that needs to get done. Do it how you like to do it. We're going to provide guidance in there. Some of it's free. Some of it'll cost you. Some of it you can go talk to your own coaches, your own advisors, your own team of experts. Call your own Colette, your own Natalie Forrest, your own Natalie Essman. Go Keisha King Brown. Go call whoever you want to call. We're just telling you this is the step that needs to be done, right? And so that they can take it from there, because every business is different. Every business owner is different. Every coach is different. Every situation is different. The framework is the same. How you build a house, you'll always build a house. How you decorate it is up to the business owner, right? You can have 12-foot ceilings. You can have 7-foot ceilings. You can have 4-foot wide doors. You can have 3-foot wide doors. It doesn't matter. The structure, the foundation, the supporting components of the business is in Pillar 5.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm really proud of, let me say it like that, of Pillar 5, and is that a person that's an entrepreneur that uses Pillar 5, after they use it, they look at their own business, company, or industry different. They're much better informed about the components of their business already. They already have the passion. They planned on doing what they're planned on doing. They're going through YouTube or whatever the resources that they use to get started. But anybody who goes in, it's like, okay, now I need to do a SWOT. Wasn't planning on doing it. Even a one-page business plan. I need to know the questions. I need to know the problems specifically that I'm solving. What is my solution? What are my competitors' solution? What's the difference in me and them? And I should be able to say that off the top of my head. Just having that intimate relationship with one's own company, with one's own business, is a component that's missing, which is resulting, I think, in a lot of the failures in businesses. People are just doing stuff, but they're not intimately related to the journey that they're on. And entrepreneurship is a journey. You never really arrive. You're in love with what you do. So you talk about it differently. You engage with it differently. Yeah, so I really love the fact that that's something that Pillar 5 gives entrepreneurs that engage with it, that insight.
Awesome.
I love watching shows like the Shark Tank. It's kind of, many people call it watching TV for entertainment, and I call it watching TV for information and study.
Yeah.
Because I listen to these sharks and I listen to these grandeur pitches that are amazing, and they come off amazing, and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, that was a great pitch," and then they go, "Okay, now let's get down to the numbers next," right? And then in that question, when they say let's get down to the numbers, it's how many people are in your market? How are you getting to your market? What is your deliverables? And then they don't know those answers.
How
They don't
did
have
you
a
decide
clue.
how much money you're asking us for? That's always a big one that I think of too, because sometimes the numbers are crazy insane what they're asking for, right? They've made like no sales.
That's right. That's right. And it's, oh, I have an idea, and then they go, well, you're in the seed stage, or you're just getting started. You're too young. You're too early. The word that they use on Shark Tank is you're too early. You're too early for funding. And there's this persona of, well, no, that's when I need my money. I need it early. No, you need it once you've proven it out. And again, you say alpha testing to a business owner, and they go, if they have any understanding of software, they immediately go, well, I'm not building a software. I don't need to alpha and beta test anything because I'm not building a software. And they don't realize that alpha and beta testing applies to products and services, regardless of the specificity of the service, whether it's software, hair product. It's the same thing that the FDA does with all of that pharmaceutical coming through. There's an alpha test, there's a beta test, there's an approval process. All of that applies, whether you're doing hair, whether you're cutting grass, whether you're washing cars, whether you're cleaning roofs, whether you're rebuilding roofs, whatever it is. So all these little components need to be touched, and not just touched or addressed. They need to be addressed at the right time of the business, because if you're doing it at the wrong time, that can negatively impact you, which was the lesson Tehran and I learned when we were working with that financial company. They were helping them with credit, and they were helping them with funding, but they were helping them at the wrong time. And because they couldn't see time, they didn't know where they were in the journey. They couldn't say, oh, you're too early. Let's build out some more sustainability for your company, and then let's get into the funding component. No, they were just rushing to get them funded because that's how they made their bread, right? And they're doing their service to make money. They weren't doing service to really solve the why. I need to help them get funding. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Awesome. So tell me, so I'm watching the show today, and I have had my business 5 years, or I don't have a coach, or I'm in network marketing. Who goes to Pillar 5, or what, when do I decide to go to Pillar 5 and take my assessment? Do I need to already have a coach? Should I have my vision already? Should I already be in business? Who should be going over there and taking the assessment?
Everybody.
Everybody. If you are an entrepreneur and you have a business and you want to see the vision, the dream that you set out to achieve, if you really want to achieve that, and you don't know how to get there, you're confident that there's things to do, but you're not just sure when, what, how many are there, go do the assessment. There's going to be different mindsets. There's going to be business owners who realize I need help. And then there's business owners who are going to battle their own pride and ego that goes, I could do this on my own, right? Well, if you're battling with that, you're probably not going to go do the assessment, but you're probably the prime candidate who needs to go do an assessment. So you realize you can get the help that you need, because as they've all said, you only know what you know. You don't know what you don't know. So if you're a business owner, go do the assessment. If you're a business coach and you want to help your clients build a sustainable business without you figuring out the path to maturity all on your own, then go do the assessment so you can see how you can help your clients with that tool as well, because it's offered for both. And go to pillar5.com, by the way.
Yeah. Pillar5.com is the website. Yes. So we are here this morning with the founders of iDue Systems and Pillar 5 Software. Why the Better Your Business Show was started to help entrepreneurs have sustainable businesses. And I'm just so happy to be part of the vision and the crusade that you guys have for entrepreneurs, and to be part of this. It makes me so excited, the difference that you're making. And it makes me think of, just as we're looking at sustaining businesses and what businesses are going to be sustainable, leaving their mark in the world, right? That's what you guys are doing with your software, and helping all businesses stay sustainable and to be successful, and to help people really have financial independence, freedom, peace of mind, their dreams, their whys. And so I'm just honored to be a part of it. And I love how forward-thinking visionaries, you guys put your head down, got to work, and put the time and effort into this to help people and to make a difference. And I just love that.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you, Natalie. We're honored to be running around in this mission. Go to bed thinking about it. Wake up. This is what we do. This is our passion. If we can help business owners succeed and avoid failure, that's it. That's why we're here.
All right. Business based off passion. Who knew?
That's right. Who knew?
Who knew?
All right.
Awesome.
Well,
next week, I want to bring some special people on here, but I'm not going to spill the eggs. I'm not going to spill the milk. I'm not going to even
spill the tea, Tehran. Spill the tea.
I'm going to spill the tea. We're going to try to bring some specialty, have some deeper discussions on the whys and what's required for everybody out here to really realize whatever it is that they have. And it's really about building a team. It's really about keeping experts around you. It's really about getting coaches. It's really about knowing what you know, knowing what you don't know, respecting that space, then moving forward intentionally in this business journey. It's not going to stop. You're never going to arrive. You're never going to know everything. So get in a student's position and ride out. And it's a different trajectory.
that's right. And as we always say, be a doer.
Be a doer.
Be a doer. Don't be a talker. Be a doer. There's a time to talk and there's a time to do.
Yeah, man.
Spend more time doing than talking.
You can always show them better than you can tell them. Always. They don't want to hear it anyway. Ain't nobody trying to hear you talk about that. Show me something.
Well, I can't wait for next week's show. Awesome.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Well, thank you for having us, Natalie. It was a little different to go from the host chair to the interviewee chair. And so thank you for that. Really appreciate you spending time talking with us. That was really awesome and amazing.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you soon. Have a great week, everybody. Happy Monday. See you soon.
And don't forget to check out the Los Angeles Tribune Live tonight, where Mo Rock and Natalie Forrest go in on their topics. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the comment section. We'll always go back and respond to them. And you can check out the Better Your Business Show special edition in between the episodes right now, every Monday. And so we're not telling you what we're unpacking on Mondays. It's always a secret. You'll never know what's going to come up. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us. Build a better business.
Our goal is simple: to help you achieve the dream and vision you first had when you thought about starting a business. We're here to make growing your business less complicated. There are building blocks to build a sustainable business. We promise to seek them out and address them all. The Better Your Business Show starts now.